Hello, everyone. Chris Chesniak here, founder and CEO of Grandmaster Finance. Today, guys, I wanted to kind of go over some what I call finance etiquette and just 101 information. Some of the etiquette and just common practices that I recommend as a finance manager in a dealership. And every dealership set up a little bit differently. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint this exactly, but maybe you can pick up a couple tips here and there from some of the things I'm going to say that are important, and maybe you already are doing. Maybe you can get better at it. Maybe you can improve whatever it may be. But some things that I think that I've seen that hurt a store and that hurt maybe the performance of a sales desk or finance managers, numbers and whatnot, and some ways, just common etiquette, and some just general information that these small little tidbits could go a long way. And I am surprised, honestly, the amount of finance managers out there that don't take some of these things seriously, or the sales desk or sales managers don't take seriously. And it's not the way. If you want to have a successful store and you want to, the majority of everyone on a sales department, as far as manager wise, are paid typically on performance of some sort, based on how many units you sell, your overall gross amount of products you sell. There's obviously it varies from store to group, but generally in some variation it leads down to that in some way, shape, or form. And some of these things that I see that happen that are not, they don't sound like they're that big of a deal, but it's enough where it can make a big difference, whether it's the first impression of a customer or how you set your deal up from your desk to your finance guy, or just your general relationship between the finance managers and the sales managers. I'm just going to start because some of this stuff is important, and I'm just kind of shocked that I even witnessed this out there. And it's not necessarily to bash anyone. It could be just a combination of just lack of knowledge or not aware that it would matter or make a difference. But I'm here to tell you that some of these things I'm going to mention, they do make a difference. I've seen it firsthand. So, and some can argue with me and or say that it's not true or whatever. That's your opinion. But unless you've been consistently at a high level store that's always produced high results, I guess you could say, prove me wrong. So some of the things that are just generically simple that I'm going to start with, just starting with the finance office. I can't tell you how many times, guys, I walk into I've seen some of these finance managers' office, and I walk in and they're an absolute disaster. You walk in, there's paperwork everywhere. There's folders and brochures stacked and stacked and stacked and stacked. It's dirty. It just looks disorganized. It just looks like you don't even know what is going on in this office. It looks like, a hurricane just got done, tumbling through there. So office cleanliness is extremely important. Being organized. Have your office look professional and presentable. There's absolutely no reason for it. If you are referred to as a finance professional and you're supposed to be on the top of your game and you're trying to offer product to some of these customers for thousands of dollars, and you're supposed to be looked at as trustworthy and credible, show it. It's not that hard. It sounds stupid. This isn't your house. If you want to keep your house looking like a wreck, that's fine. But this is a business. This is an impression a customer is seeing, and when they first walk in, they see that does not start out on the right foot. That's already, and some customers might not care, but I'll tell you, depending on the brand you're at, and the dealer group you're at, and the type of customer, the majority of them do care, and they do see it, and they do notice. So that's pretty simple. Just have your office clean, especially now with this whole COVID-19. You're going to need to make sure your office is, clean and sanitize and everything like that as much as possible. And image is everything. So organize your office. Whether you got to stay late one day, come in early, organize your office, make it look presentable. Get out any garbage, trash, or anything that's not necessary to be in there, or put whatever doesn't need to be in there away or somewhere else. Have your office look professional, like the professional you're supposed to be. So that's pretty simple when it comes to that. But again, I bring it up because again, you'd be surprised at some of the offices I've seen. It's pretty scary what I've seen. Some of the other things, obviously having proper paperwork. Can't tell you enough about how some finance people underestimate the value of having good paperwork and making sure you have everything right. There's nothing worse than having to go redo a customer's deal or having to have your office hounding you because you missed these forms and having to get a customer to come back in and re-sign and it just get good with your paperwork. I mean, have a system in place. Have a filing cabinet or a filing system where you know all documentation you need for every deal so that you know exactly where everything is. Get organized. You know exactly where everything is. It'll help you with your paperwork. And if you have to go as far as having a checklist, a lot of dealerships do that. Some of them require it. Having a checklist for your finance department, knowing exactly what forms you need and everything like that, and making sure that you are you're checking off on them at the end to make sure that you're not missing anything. That's very very important thing, and it'll just help save you a lot of a headache in the long run. One thing too, I happen to see this happen more frequently than not, and I don't know if it's just again a lack of education or knowledge, but the one thing that, and some stores allow it and some stores don't. So if you're a store that just doesn't bother you, all the power to you. I'm just telling you it for any good finance manager that I know of, it's a big no-no. And what that is if, let's just say you have your finance manager, you're the finance manager or you have a finance manager that is in, as they say, in the box with customers signing, going over documentation and whatnot. And let's say the door is closed, or even if it's not, doesn't really matter. If they have customers in that office and they're in the middle of a delivery, I don't care if they're in the beginning of it or the end of it. It doesn't matter. Number one thing, do not interrupt your finance manager for any reasons, unless he's calling and asking for you, or he or she, I should say. If he or she is calling and asking for you for something, whether they paid you or call you directly, and they're asking you to come there, do not interrupt your finance office for any reason, unless the building's on fire is about the only exception. Do not bother them, because I've literally witnessed some newer, or I've even seen some experienced salespeople that will go and interrupt the finance manager, and I'm not joking with you, while they're in the middle of a menu presentation. That is a big no-no, because it throws everything off. The customers are deep in thought. The finance manager is trying to sell the value on what he's offering. And he's in they're in depth thought. They're in deep thought, I should say. And what do you think happens when someone comes barreling in there? Everything gets distracted. So wherever they were at whatever point they were at, he's now got to go essentially, I don't want to say start over, but pick up somewhat where he feels he needs to pick back up at to re-get the customer back engaged. So it is never a good thing to interrupt your finance guy. And if you guys don't believe me, try it. Just try it. If you're a store that has that is okay with interruption of the finance office, and especially while they're in the middle of presenting a menu or anything even close to it, and because you might not think they're in a menu presentation, and maybe the finance manager put the menu away to go over some more documents while they're thinking about it, or they're just pondering on it or whatever, and then he might bring it back. So don't ever assume just because you don't see a menu in front of someone that makes it okay. It's not. But again, if you don't believe that, if you have any doubt in it, just try it. Try, if you're a store that has it where they allow interruption, try removing it for, I don't know, a week or two, and see if you notice any kind of difference. See if your finance manager is more receptive. See if they notice any more, if it's a smoother process, they're able to get more products, sell for more money, whatever the case is. Just try it. I can tell you, it doesn't hurt. I've had it hurt more times than it does help. So, and I've seen more times where it helped than anything. So, it's very important. Do not interrupt your finance people at all during delivery unless it's some major issue that, building's on fire, or you're, I don't even want, even if you're contracting the wrong car, you're on the wrong car, come back and redo it, but at least he sold all of his products or whatever, and then he can, we can recontract on the right vehicle or whatever. So that's pretty much where I stand on that. Never interrupt the finance office during a delivery. One of the other things, even before you get to that point, make sure you guys, as far as even for salespeople and for finance managers, make sure that your salespeople are properly introducing yourselves as the business manager or finance manager. I can't tell how many times where, the salesperson will close the deal, they disappear, MIA, and then it's up to you to go find these customers. Maybe ask the sales manager, oh yeah, they're over at that desk. And then you got to go introduce yourself, and there's not a proper TO. There's not a proper introduction, I refer to it as. That, it's not the end of the world, but it helps transition. It helps the transition, I should say. It's like the transfer of trust almost. They maybe the customers don't trust the salesperson. Maybe, every situation's different, but on average, there's got to be generally something there. Having the transfer of trust and the proper introduction, I feel, is important, because then it's like saying, okay, here's the guy that's going to take care of you. They now know who he is. It's not just some blind guy walking up to you and just saying, hey, I'm going to do all your paperwork. I have all your personal information sitting right in front of me here, and I know everything about your life for the most part and how much you make and whatnot. But here I am going to help you. No, it's a transfer of trust. It helps transition the process so that they know, oh, okay, this is the guy that's going to or gal that's going to help me, and they now know. And it just helps the process and helps the customer, with the trust and just being comfortable. So make sure your salespeople, or for that matter, if let's just say the salesperson is not available, have a sales manager do it. Have a sales manager. Maybe if there's a sales manager that was involved with the deal, whether it was part of closing it or at any point, that manager that was involved with that customer at all should be the one. If the salesperson for whatever reason might not be available, should be the one that introduces the finance or business manager to the customer. It goes a long way. One of the other things I'm going to touch on is, and this is something that I've seen for quite a while that happens. That I it varies from store. Some stores are very strong at this and they get it, and some don't. And I never understood this, because at the end of the day, the sales desk and the finance office should be working together as a team, regardless of pay plans and pay structure and everything like that. If a store is set up properly, the sales desk, sales managers, and the finance department should all be working together as a whole, not this divided, like where that's the sales manager's job, or that's the finance manager's job, or anything like that. I hear there's a lot of stores where the finance and the sales desk are like almost against each other in a way. It's like a divided force, or this divided, I don't even know why, but it doesn't help matters. I mean, having a good relationship between finance and the desk or sales managers, depending on how your store's set up, because all stores are set up a little bit differently and are structured a little bit differently. Having a good relationship and a good team between the sales desk, sales managers, and the finance office. If they can get together and work together, they're going to be a lot stronger. They're going to run better numbers, and they're going to have a better overall process and results if they do it. The ones that are constantly fighting against each other, and they don't work together with each other, are the ones that don't seem to put up. They don't put up the numbers. They don't. They don't have as many deals. It just doesn't work. You got to build the desk has got to. They have to work together in order to have a well running store and to produce good numbers. Can you get by? Sure, but are you at a store that you want to just get by it, or do you want to increase your paycheck? Do you want to increase your results? That's up to you to decide. But that's one thing that I noticed and I've seen it turn around. I've been into a store where I've watched them go from being divided and against each other to then reuniting, getting on the same page, working together as a team, and it made a world of a difference. Their numbers significantly increased, their units increased, their gross increased, CSI increased. It was pretty remarkable. So I can't emphasize that enough, that if you are at a store that does not work well with your finance and desk, or vice versa, get your general manager, get your dealer principal, whoever, get everyone on the same page. I'm telling you right now, it's not doing anything but hurting you right now, and it's just making your job more difficult. I can tell you that. So creating a strong relationship and strong team between finance and the desk or sales managers is going to make you go a long way as far as getting better results, getting better performance. Try it. You have nothing to lose at this point. So those are some of the main things that I believe are just common. I don't want to call it common, but it's basic etiquette, finance etiquette, as well as just general 101 question or info that you'd think would be just general common knowledge, but you'd be surprised how many dealers out there, or how dealerships, I should say, that don't function the way they should and that don't work together how they should. And just some of these little things can go a long way. So I encourage you to try it. And let the results speak for themselves. So that's just some of the details briefly that I like to refer to as etiquette and just general 101 knowledge in finance on the front end of dealership. We have more information at grandmasterfinance.com, where you can get more information on just more in depth, more details. And if you have any questions, please comment below. Questions, comments, please comment below or direct message us at grandmasterfinance.com. And I look forward to answer anything I can for you guys and seeing how I can help you guys excel your store. Thanks again, and we'll look forward to talking to you on the next topic. Stay tuned.